With the trade deadline behind us, is there a player whose best is yet to come? I'm Madeline Burke for Sports Illustrated, along with Ben Pickman and Michael Pina. And guys, when we look at the home stretch of the regular season, which player, Ben, do you have your eye on to really level up?
Well, with regards to Nick Claxton, who Brooklyn Nets Twitter says is the next David Robinson, I'm going all the way to the other coast with De'Aaron Fox of the Sacramento Kings. And I have my eye on him and the Kings, frankly, in the second half of the season, right? You look at Fox in his last 10 games, he's averaging just over 29 points per game, which is fifth overall in the league in that span, on nearly 54% shooting, right? Overall, he's averaging career highs in points and assists. And Sacramento had, won 5 straight games before last night's loss to the Spurs. So they're playing better of late and making a push to try and be in that play-in conversation towards the bottom rather, of the Western Conference. So I look at De'Aaron Fox as someone who needs to both improve his three-point shooting, but he is very capable of pushing this Kings team into the playoff conversation. They're a team we really haven't talked a lot about all year long. Frankly, that's because they really struggled all year long and haven't been that very good. But they have one of the easiest schedules in the top third of the league left. And so I look at Fox and say, he's someone who can push the Kings into the conversation, maybe make the playoffs, and we should be talking about him the way we talk about, say, Ja Morant, among other players.
Yeah, to me, the answer is Jayson Tatum, who hasn't been disappointing per se, but coming off a postseason in which he averaged an efficient 25, 10, and 5 as the best player on a team that reached the conference finals, he hasn't exploded quite like some expected he would. Last year we saw a post-All-Star break run from him where he was suddenly way more efficient and productive scoring the ball. This year, his three-point shooting is up over 40% since the break, and he's made 48% of his step-back threes, which is obviously incredible. Boston's deadline move should help too. Robert Williams is now their starting center. They'll play lineups that do not have two bigs in them, which opens up space, driving lanes, passing lanes for Tatum to attack. And Evan Fournier is in the mix, who will create more space and loosen the offensive load that Tatum has had to carry for most of the season. So it's wild to say that Tatum still has so many areas of his game that he can improve upon, but it's true. And the Celtics needed to see that happen down the stretch if they're to make any type of noise in the playoffs this season.
I mean, hey, this man puts bacon on his sub, so we know that he's elite already. Bacon Tatum. So we just got to see him level up. Continuing. I'm going with Victor Oladipo. He's expected to make his Heat debut on Thursday, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what Heat Oladipo looks like. I mean, sure, it's his third team that he's played for this season, but it's a team that he knows, he's comfortable, he's familiar with. He spends a lot of time in Miami. He spends his off seasons there, and there's long been mutual interest between the Heat and Oladipo. And I think there's a lot to be said about being in a position that you want to be in, that you feel valued in, that you feel is a good fit. I mean, look at what a change we've seen in Blake Griffin since going from Detroit to Brooklyn. That man has dusted off his dunking shoes again. So I have to say that alone had me zeroing in on Oladipo, but don't take my word for it. Take his. In his first interview with Miami media just hours ago, he said, quote, "The best is yet to come for me." He said, "I truly believe my better days are ahead. I believe I haven't scratched the surface of how good I can be. There's still a lot of room for me to improve." And he said, "You know what? I have a chip on my shoulder." Obviously, playing with the chip on your shoulder in South Beach along with Jimmy Butler, I like what I'm going to see.